Well, folks, welcome to probably the most miserable run of form in the history of the football club. Not necessarily the worst run of form, but certainly the most miserable, because we should be doing so much better. Hello and welcome to part 152 of It's Coming Home. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have two away games, two massive away games as well. We're away against Bayer Leverkusen in the Champions League. We're already starting to mess that up. And we're also away to top of the table West Ham. Actually, no, they're not. Why did it say West Ham were top of the table? Oh, they are. We're so far down it, I have to scroll to find them. West Ham are having a cracking start to the season, and we've got to play them too. Our form has been utterly horrific. Look at the state of this since you were last with me. We drew to Southampton, lost 5-0 against Blackburn. You knew about that. That was the start. That's where it all started to go wrong. We did manage to beat Copenhagen, which you saw. But we then lost against Preston, lost against Chelsea, lost against Wolves. Only managed a 0-0 home draw with Shakhtar Donetsk. Then got, I guess, two respectable results. 0-0 away against Man United, 1-1 at home against Man City. We've arranged a friendly that we won 12-0 to try and get some goals into the team. It's been a long time since we've won a match that actually mattered. And we do need to go to Bayer Leverkusen today and do that because of the draw against Shakhtar Donetsk. Ideally, the way we would normally run a Champions League campaign. It's our first one. But the plan is draw the 3 away games, win the 3 home games, you top the group. But we now need to win one of the away games. Let's try to do that against the best team in the group. Why not? What's the worst that could happen? This is the team that we're going to put out there to try and do that. We've got Saidi in goal, a back four of Candemill, Sands, Lee and Mayer, Thompson at the base of the midfield, Jimenez and Yamin further forward, Chernyshov behind Akamo and Kano. The one hope that I've got is that run of form coincided with Candemill being injured and he's now back. So I'm hoping that he comes in and proves to be the difference maker. He was one of our most important players last year. The little club detail thing says Mayer is the best player at the club officially. Is that what that star means? I don't know what the star means. But Candemill, I think Candemill's probably... The point is we've got our 2 excellent fullbacks back in the team together. Right, I do expect you to deliver. I don't really know how good to expect Bayer Leverkusen to be. They're not German champions, I don't think. No, they're not, because they're in our group and we were the English champions. So they're not the German champions. So they're just an also-ran German team. We should be all right against them. Right, we have a penalty. First attack of the game, we've got a penalty. It's Thompson stepping up to take it. I don't really know why Thompson's our penalty taker. I guess that's something because he hits a good penalty, that's why. I assume I've hit one of those buttons that picks your set-piece takers for you. Or, even more likely, probably not set up my set-pieces at all. And he hits them hard, doesn't he? My word, what a penalty from Thompson. And there you go. 5 minutes on the clock. Bayer Leverkusen 0, home 1. This is more like it. This is what we want. We don't want them charging through us like this though, and cutting through our defence as if it's not even there. It's been disallowed for offside. But holy smoke, did that set off a few alarm bells, because we didn't even look like getting a tackle in there. They just cut us open. We have got Dianzi unavailable for today's game, so we're back to Lee and Sands together in the centre of defence, which I always worried a little bit about the two of them together because they both want to play on a cover instruction. So it's difficult. Do we play one of them slightly out of position, or do we just have 2 people covering? And I don't really know which of those is the best to do. But hopefully we won't get caught out again like we were there. Candemill now. Very deep for him. What's he doing all the way back here? Candemill again. Plays it into Jimenez. Jimenez to Kano. Kano's got Mayer available. Mayer has space to run into. Lovely low drilled cross from Mayer. And Chernyshov tucks it away for his 4th goal of the season. 25 minutes on the clock and we're 2-0 up. And this was excellent from Mayer. Kano spots Mayer in space. He actually faffs around with it a little bit and I thought he'd lost the opportunity, but he just made himself a bit more space. And that is about as perfect as a low drilled cross can get. Any one of 5 players, any one of 5 home players could have tucked that away. Any Bayer player trying to defend it is going to have a hard time. There's like 9 different ways that could have ended up in the back of the net there. And luckily, one of them worked. And we're 2-0 up and looking pretty good at the moment. We're controlling the game. We look more like the home team we're all used to, or I'm used to, maybe. You lot still tell me it's rubbish sometimes, but I've given myself a couple of days off IRL because I was so upset at that run of form. I'm recording this Friday morning. I haven't touched this save since Wednesday morning, partly because I wasn't available yesterday anyway, but I had the option to record this video Wednesday afternoon and just couldn't bring myself to do it because I was so upset with how bad our form had been. I knew I'd be Captain Grumposaurus throughout the whole episode, whereas give myself a couple of days, clear head, freshen things up a bit, scare the game algorithm into thinking, oh, he's not played for 48 hours. Has he given up? We better give him... I've always thought this might be a thing. You're in bad form. Don't play it for a few days. It thinks you're getting bored of it and gives you a couple of wins when you come back. Again, I know that's... I'm 90% sure that's not part of the game, but I am a creature of superstition. Jimenez is in and almost made it 4 just before half time. But when stuff like this happens, it does often feel a little bit like it. We were in miserable form. We've not done anything to turn it around other than not play the game for 2 days. And now I've won 3-0. It's 3-0 at half time, Kev. Literally, don't get complacent. That's an instruction for both me and the players, because I'm already counting this as a win, and that's probably a bad idea, especially because they've gone to 3 up front now, which it's not as much of an exploit as it's been on previous games. For a normal team, it should be reasonably easy to handle, but for us, when we effectively play with a back 2, 3 strikers can be troublesome. Mayer now, trying to beat his man, doesn't at the first time of asking, but gets the ball back, plays it inside to Yamin, back to Mayer, who's got space this time, still can't get the crossover though. Yamin's biting at the heels of the defender, but it's not enough, and this is where we've got the problem of them having a man over, and I can hear you all telling me to change the system. I'm not changing the system, but this is because we were overloaded. They've dragged our right back out there, and then their right-sided striker has done a number on Candemill, and they've got an extra player than us all the way through that move, because they're playing with 3 attackers, we're playing with basically 2.5 defenders. You could argue Thompson drops into a back 3 occasionally. Sometimes one of the full-backs will accidentally be back there, but by and large, back 2 against front 3. We just need them to get complacent that they're getting back into the game and change things up a little bit. Right, Sands isn't having the best of game. I don't really want to take him off though. Thompson is injured, so Dean Morris can come on to make. I think that's his 3rd Champions League appearance for us now. Dean Morris, I said he'd be playing more in the Champions League than the league, and he absolutely is. I'm toying with bringing on Montero for Sands because Sands is struggling, but then Candemill's actually struggling for fitness and is on a yellow card. So in actual fact, what I'm going to do is take off Candemill, bring Montero on. I want Sands out at left back, and we're going to have Montero alongside Lee. Just a different type of defender, so we don't have 2 of them dropping deep on cover. We've got the big lump who's just going to be there kicking people. Mayer from range, just wide. And I tell you what, I think it's time for some praise. We're 3-1 up with 15 minutes to go. I think that deserves a little bit of praise. Let's make a final substitution. Kano not playing very, very well at all. We've already taken 1 captain off in the shape of Candemill. Now Kano is going to come off as well. Rodriguez, I might never get another opportunity to give Sir Anthony Harris a Champions League game. If it goes wrong, don't shout at me. I couldn't resist. Sir Mick Powell will get one as well. They'll all get their opportunity this season, but that's now Dean Morris and Sir Anthony Harris have both played for us in the Northern Premier League Division 1 East and the Champions League. What a career the 2 of them have had. Harris playing it all the way back to Sadie. It's lovely to have Sir Anthony Harris back at the club, by the way. Absolutely lovely. And if he got a goal here, it would be even lovelier, but he didn't. I mean, he had that one lovely pass back to the keeper, which I really enjoyed. There you go. Good performance, gentlemen. You could argue having Morris and Harris on the pitch at the end there wasn't as dumb as it looks, because they obviously want it more than anybody else. They're home through and through. And we have picked up a win, which is super duper important. As long as Thompson's not badly injured. He's not. Excellent. Now we need to go and do another unlikely performance against West Ham, which might be trickier. Just a 1 change for the West Ham game then, with Thompson picking up the injury in that last game. He's not really fit enough to play. Dianzi is getting closer to fitness as well, but still not quite ready to come back. Likewise, Manu. So Bishop comes into the midfield, which means a role change for Curti. In fact, no, we've brought Curti into the midfield as well because Yamin is tired. So get the old midfield back together, and then Jimenez drops back down to play as the defensive midfielder. Yamin is actually a former West Ham player, I think. Is that who we signed Yamin from? So that's probably an argument to get him back into the team. No, we're going to start him on the bench. He needs a rest. Curti's not in the Champions League squad. So my decision that I made long ago was that Curti is going to play in league games either side of Champions League games, just because he might as well. He's not that much far behind Yamin, and it just means Yamin can get rested. I fully expect you to end our poor run of form and win this match. Yes, I do expect that. Okay, they didn't like that. They're confused. I mean, it wasn't that confusing a message, was it? We've not been playing very well. I would like you to win this game. We've beaten West Ham more times than we've lost to them, historically, according to the pre-match preview thing. So it's not a team that it should be completely unrealistic for us to beat. We finished well above them in the league last year. They've just had a good start to this season, but they're not that much better than us, surely, or better than us at all. I guess we're about to find out. We did just steal one of their best players off them in the shape of Yamin as well. But equally, they've done us over with a ridiculous fee for Carr a couple of years before they stole Marvin Samuel from us. We've got beef with West Ham. Kano's in behind, though. And Kano, I know I was waxing lyrical about him. Might have even been in yesterday's episode, about how he looks like a proper elite level striker now. Forget all that. He's like the Kano from 2 years ago again. He very much runs hot and cold. He's a man who lives off of motivation and morale and form, and at the moment he's not in form, and it's troublesome. Rodriguez is getting ever closer to getting a little run of games. Kandemil keeps the ball in, plays it to Chernyshov, who tried to nod it down to Bishop, but neither of them were really alive to that, and Saidi, luckily, is aware of what's going on around him and comes out to clear things up. Kandemil now on the left-hand side plays Kano in. Can Kano prove me wrong? He can't. As it says at the bottom, it looked easier to score than miss. That is the game telling me that is a man who's low on confidence, low on form, and that's something we need to sort out. We need Kano scoring goals for fun again like he did last year, because otherwise we are going to struggle. No matter how good we might be defensively now, and we are a solid defensive team. We've picked up good defensive performances against Man City, against Man United. The only time we've really looked awful at the back was against Blackburn, and I'm just going to call that a fluke. We talked about that being a fluke at the time. So we're quite solid at the back, but we're just not scoring goals like we were last year. And a lot of that has to fall on the shoulders of Kano, who squares it to Akamo, who grabs his fifth of the year, and that's 1-0 just before half-time. Let's stop worrying, eh? This is a nice little home lump goal, ball over the top for Kano to chase. Last year, I think he has a shot here, but he decides to just take it on a little bit, square it to Akamo. If he's not in form, give it to the man who is. It does make sense. Why have we got two lots of match stats on here? That's usually latest scores, I believe. That puts us back up to 8th place at the moment as it stands. 10 points behind West Ham, though. With this terrible run of form, we have left ourselves with an awful lot to do. I think we can pretty much abandon any hope of retaining the title, which it wasn't ever really the goal, I don't think, retaining the title. The goal was qualify for the Champions League again and have a bit of fun in the Champions League while we're at it. But it's a season well done if we're in the Champions League again next year, regardless of what happens, any other competitions, whereabouts in the Champions League positions we finish. If we're playing that's got to be offside. Must be offside. He's going to the little telly. It's been disallowed. Good. If we're playing Champions League football again next year, this season's been a success. If we're not only has the season been a failure, but we do run the risk of some of our better players wanting to leave. Morris is going to come on for Jimenez. Sands, again, not playing. We're going to play Montero. Montero is another one that we've brought in from West Ham because we just apparently swap players. So we'll make that as a double change. Sands really struggling. He's not the same. Another one. He's not the same Cesar Sands that we've had in previous years. West Ham now with the corner. Chernyshov tries to get it clear to Kano. In fact, it does make it to Kano, who's got to beat his man. In fact, plays it back to Candemill, and it's Bishop. Plays it forward to Chernyshov. He's got options ahead of him. 3 good options. Tries to find a Kamo, and it doesn't quite get there. But Lee tries to keep the move going by playing to Mayer. And then Curti back to Mayer again. There's men lined up in the middle. Kano's one of them. And it is another missed sitter from Kano. What do we do to get that man back into form? We did the friendly where we won 12-0. We're continuing to play him. I think we're getting to the point where we just have to let him have a little bit of a break from the team. We've got Dragovic. We've got Lee's in. That's a lovely double save from the West Ham keeper. We've got Dragovic. We've got Rodriguez. It's not like we're hurting for other options for a striker. And Kano is just really struggling. We'll try Dragovic. We tried Rodriguez in the last game. Now we'll give Dragovic 10 minutes. We're just looking for some signs of life. If Dragovic comes on and looks lively, I think I'll give him a couple of games alongside a Kamo. Just to take some pressure off Kano a little bit. Because he is really, really struggling. Right, we've got 5 minutes to hold on. Another example of where we could probably drop back a little bit. Try and defend. We ain't going to drop back and try and defend. Saidi plays it forward to Candemill, who is in acres of space because West Ham are pushing forward. This is why we don't look to defend. And I know you're all telling me this is why we should, because they're going to score. I'd rather win 2-0 than defend a 1-0. If Candemill hadn't have lost the ball here, if he beats his man there, we go and score. I like to keep things open. Oh, that was poor. Just poor. Ugh. We did win the league last year, remember? Before you all leap on me and tell me how awful I am. We won the league last year with Holme. Holme Football Club won the league. So, I'm not that bad. Oh, they're going to score again. This is... When you are in poor form, goodness me, does the game like to punish you for it. 1-0 up with 3 minutes to go. And we've lost 2-1. Oh, you just... Form in this game. We benefited from it last year because we got in a good run of form as Wolves hit a poor run of form. And it's so difficult to change a run of form, whether you're winning or losing. But when you're struggling, goodness me. We are down to, 15th in the league, did that say? I made so many promises that this season, that we weren't doing a Leicester last year. But oh my word, does it look like we're doing a Leicester. If we're not careful, we're going to be in a relegation battle, but in the Champions League knockout rounds. Oh, rubbish. 14th place in the league. Right, we'll be back tomorrow for Shakhtar, which the original plan was, if we've won the group by that point, we play Harrison Powell up front. The plan might have to change because I don't know if we'll have won the group by then because we're in such poor form. We'll just have to play it by ear. But you might be seeing for the final time Harrison Powell together up front tomorrow. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.